What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlemania here, back with another video. The road to WrestleMania is over, and now the WWE Universe is ready for the professional wrestling's biggest show of the year. Join us now as we look at WrestleMania 38's first night as we recap the show and look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, as well as a big slip. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. First, let's start off with the main show as Brantley Gilbert kicks off the show with his rendition of America the Beautiful. That, as usual, gets a standing ovation. Well, the first match of the night is a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match between the champions the Usos taking on Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. And Nakamura starts off against Jimmy, laying into the 7-time Tag Team Champion with a series of knees. Well, as a blind tag quickly turns the tide as Jay lays into Shinsuke. A quick tag as the Usos quickly wear down the King of Strong style while Rick Boogs watches on helplessly. But things go south after Boogs tags in and tries to lift up both of the Usos on his shoulder, and it looks like his leg goes out, for real. I think it was actually legitimately injured, as Michael Cole stated. Now there's a tag to Nakamura as Boogs is writhing in pain outside of the ring. From there it's a 2-on-1 battle, and the odds are too much as the Usos hit the 1D for the win. The Usos retain the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Next up is Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin, who's with Madcap Moss. And McIntyre goes after Corbin, but his desire for vengeance backfires as Corbin throws Drew into the ring post with McIntyre's shoulder hitting it. Corbin uses his remarkable mix of strength and speed to wear down Drew as he trash talks the Scottish Warrior. It's a back and forth brawl that sees Drew charge Corbin only to walk into the end of days. Cover for a near fall as Drew McIntyre is the first wrestler to ever kick out of the end of days. A future shock DDT, and Drew hits the Claymore, covering Corbin for the win. After the bout, Madcap climbs the mat apron to confront Drew, only for Drew to chase him off with his sword, swinging it at the ring ropes and wiping out the ring ropes. Yeah, they managed to destroy the ring in only the second match. Next up, it's the Mysterios versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Paul actually comes down to the ring with his Pokemon card wrapped around his neck. I gotta say, the attire looks pretty sick. As major trash talking by Logan Paul as The Miz starts off against Papa Ray, Logan distracts Ray, giving The Miz a chance for a cheap shot. Paul tags in early, but his showboating gets him nowhere, and he wisely tags The Miz back in. The Mysterios double team The Miz until the heel's cheating tactics turn the tide. Logan Paul has clearly been training and looks good when he returns to the ring. Another quick tag to The Miz, and the heels beat Dominic in their own corner. But things look good for the Mysterios as they regroup and bounce back. Ray goes after The Miz, Tornado DDT, cover but The Miz kicks out. Tag to Paul, who suplexes Mysterio, and he's going for the Three Amigos, and he hits it. Logan then goes to the top rope, hitting the frog splash on Ray. Cover as Dominic breaks the pin with a nanosecond to spare. Seriously, that was like 2.99 seconds. Dominic hits a tope on The Miz, then chases Logan into the ring, setting him up for Ray to knock him into the ropes. It's double 619, but Dominic hits the frog splash as Ray follows with a frog splash of his own. However, The Miz is the legal man, and he hits a skull-crushing finale, surprising Ray and covering him for the win. After the match, The Miz celebrates with Paul, only to turn his back on him and delivering a skull-crushing finale to a confused Logan Paul. Chief Brand Officer Stephanie McMahon then makes an appearance, thanking the fans for coming together to celebrate their mutual love of pro wrestling. She introduces WWE's new talent for the 50th time, Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson. Next up is the Raw Women's Championship match as champion Becky Lynch takes on Bianca Belair. Now, just before the match, Bianca has one of the best entrances I've ever seen at WrestleMania. She looked like a star. But Becky lands a manhandle slam at the match's start, but unlike SummerSlam, Bianca Belair manages to kick out. Disarmer attempt, but Belair reaches the ropes, and then the champion goes for a number of early pin attempts but comes up short every time. Incredible exchange of pinfall attempts and counters as neither superstar can lock in their finishers. It's a war of attrition as both women wear each other down slowly. But the luck of the Irish seems to be with the champion as Bianca hits the KOD, but Lynch lands outside the ring. Lynch is furious as she can't put Belair away. She seems semi-conscious as Lynch struggles to lift her up, however Belair slips out and lifts Lynch up for the KOD, covering her for the win as Bianca Belair becomes the new Raw Women's Champion. And next up, it's Seth Rollins versus, well, a mystery opponent. Now Seth can't wait for his opponent, but he pauses when the lights go out. Yeah, many of us thought it was a fiend, but when Cody Rhodes music plays, Seth laughs. Yes, Cody Rhodes returns to WWE. The fans give Cody a huge ovation as he makes his way down to the ring. As a collar and elbow tie-up, but neither man can get the advantage. The announcers discuss how Cody has gained valuable experience during his 6-year absence from the WWE as Seth and Cody engage in a battle of counter wrestling. Seth even says, "Welcome back to the big leagues, bitch." There's some major spots, including one where Seth buckle bombs Cody into the security barrier. There's a super kick by Seth as he stuns Cody further. Seth avoids a crossroads but not a second. Nonetheless, it's not enough as Seth kicks out at 2.5. Seth then hits the Falcon Arrow but can't land the curb stomp or the pedigree. Cody climbs to the top rope and hits a Cody cutter on Seth for another near fall, as a kick to the gut by Seth as he finally lands the pedigree only for Cody to kick out. Both men can barely stand as they exchange blows, but finally Cody counters Seth and hits a crossroads, second crossroads, and then lifts him up for the flip flop and fly. There's a homage to Dusty Rhodes as a bionic elbow as Cody follows up with a third and final crossroads for the 1, 2, 3 as Cody wins the bout. Next up is a SmackDown Women's Championship match as Charlotte Flair takes on Ronda Rousey. Other two brawl, but Charlotte gets the upper hand with a cheap shot. Both women work to lock in their submission holds, but their opponents either counter or find a way to escape. The action takes place outside the ring, but even brawling isn't enough for either wrestler to gain the edge. Ultimately, Flair goes for the figure 4, but Rousey kicks her off, sending Rousey into referee Charles Robinson. There's an armbar to Flair, but Little H doesn't see Flair tapping out as he's too busy seeing stars. Rousey makes a rookie move checking on the referee, but Flair blindsides Rousey, getting the 1, 2, 3 as the referee recovers, and Charlotte Flair retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now it's time for the main event as it's the Kevin Owens show featuring Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now Stone Cold does appear on the Kevin Owens show, but they then make it a no-holds-barred match as Austin is ready to wrestle his last match at WrestleMania. Stone Cold stares down Owens after the bell rings with the two talking trash before they unload with punches. Austin pounds Owens into the corner where he stomps a mud hole in him, and then Austin hits plenty of his trademark spots as he downs many beers in between fighting Owens. Seriously, I think the final tally was about 22 beers. But this isn't a one-sided affair as KO dishes out some punishment. The action takes place outside the ring, including a brawl that spills out into the crowd and later onto the WrestleMania stage where Austin suplexes Owens. And things look to be over when Austin throws Owens into the ring and catches 2 more beers. He downs a beer, but KO surprises him with a kick to the gut and a stunner. Owens covers Austin, but he kicks out. Kick to the gut and stunner by the Texas Rattlesnake as he ends Owens' bad night. Of course, Austin celebrates after the match before delivering a second stunner to Owens, and the AT&T security escort Owens out of the building while Austin continues celebrating with the home crowd, even giving Byron Saxton a stunner. Thank goodness this time he missed his dick. Austin continues to celebrate as WrestleMania Night 1 closes out. But that was a quick review. What about the good, the bad, and the downright ugly? As always, we start off with the good as number 1, saving the opener. A kudos to Shinsuke and the Usos for saving the opening match after Rick Boogs suffered an injury while trying to carry the weight of both the Usos. These 3 superstars kept the match going, and while it was short, it was understandable in light of the rumoured circumstances. Number 2, a smash 'em crash 'em slobber knocker. And McIntyre vs Corbin was a true WrestleMania slobber knocker as Corbin reminded fans how he can work with any opponent, and Drew McIntyre shown why he is a 2-time WWE champion and likely another future champion. Once more, Happy Corbin has shown that he's a perfect foil for any babyface. As for Drew, he's shown the ability to work programs outside the main event and keep them entertaining. This might have seemed like a demotion, but it was a good way to keep him active while prepping him for a future world-titled program. The post-match spot where Drew swung his sword at Madcap Moss, breaking the ropes, was spectacular. The downside was that fans had to sit through 10 minutes of filler while the ring was being fixed. Number 3, Belair beats Becky. Tonight's Raw Women's Championship match was a true WrestleMania moment as Becky Lynch showcased her talents against Bianca Belair, a superstar whose rise to the top has been nothing short of spectacular. The title bout told a tremendous tale as Big Time Bex tried her usual grab bag of tricks while Belair found herself stymied at every moment. After many near falls and close calls, Becky hit the KOD, dethroning Becky. Quite the feat when you consider Becky has held a championship since WrestleMania 35, obviously with time off for maternity leave. Becky's title reign, while good, was getting tiresome and Belair needed to win the title or risk falling by the wayside as just another one of Becky's victims. Tonight, the story of Bianca's tireless campaign to regain the title reached a fitting conclusion. Number 4, Logan Paul doesn't hold back. Congratulations to Logan Paul for putting the time in to train, something obvious from his performance tonight. Like Bad Bunny, in fact I thought even Paul was even better than Bad Bunny, obviously took this match seriously and it showed that he's performed a number of moves and managed to get nuclear heat emulating Eddie Guerrero. Number 5, Cody and Seth steal the show. And while Rhodes' WWE return was one of wrestling's worst kept secrets, it didn't stop him and Seth Rollins from stealing the show. The American Nightmare and Seth freaking Rollins put on a match that will go down in history as one of the WWE's greatest WrestleMania bouts, right up there with Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker and Randy Macho Man Savage versus Ricky Steamboat. Fans may criticize the WWE for both men using too many of their finishes, but it didn't seem to bring this bout down, instead elevating it to an instant classic. Number 6, Austin ends his career where it began. Tonight's Kevin Owens show was a fitting close to a largely fantastic WrestleMania. Not only did fans get to see the Texas Rattlesnake insult Kevin Owens, paying the cocky French-Canadian back for his weeks of insults against Texas and Austin, but it led to an impromptu no-holds-barred match. And while Austin obviously had a bit of ring rust, he looked great, and let's face it, freaking fantastic considering this was his first match in 19 years. Austin's remark that he started his career in Dallas, Texas and might as well end it there was poignant, but not as poignant as watching him take out Owens in an extended brawl in the ring and into the stands. And number 7, the majesty of WrestleMania. WrestleMania is all about big matches, but it's also about the spectacle of the WWE presenting its top stars on the grandest stage of them all, including some elaborate entrances that rival anything seen in entertainment today. Tonight's show was no different, whether it was elaborate musical entrances, colourful costumes, or surprise returns. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, an awful championship clash. The Rousey-Charlotte Flair match was nothing short of a colossal failure, as Ronda Rousey seemed to be all over the place. The problem was that Rousey missed spot after spot, showing a level of ring rust you'd expect had Hulk Hogan returned to the squared circle rather than someone who's supposed to be training for several months. The fizzle finish didn't help things either, and if it wasn't for Flair's ring generalship, this would have been in the Downright Ugly. And number 2, terrible time management. As good as WrestleMania matches were, the WWE did a poor job managing the clock, and it showed. Night 1 had too many hype videos, and while it was a cool spot having Drew McIntyre take out the ring, it wasn't the best idea since it only delayed the show further. The WWE's poor timing hurt the show's flow and apparently nixed the New Day vs Sheamus and Ridge Holland match. Okay, I'm not really that upset that it didn't happen, but it's not fair on the wrestlers who look forward to a WrestleMania moment. Let's hope the WWE regroups for night 2. It was nothing downright ugly, as this was one of the best WrestleMania events in a long time. They featured a number of twists and turns without falling into the pitfall of hot shot booking, including some surprise finishes. Night 1 has us looking forward to night 2, and hopefully the second night will top tonight's impressive performance. Now there is a bit of news, as firstly, Rick Boogs is legitimately injured. The WWE has confirmed that WWE superstar Rick Boogs suffered a quadriceps patella injury that will require surgery. Boogs appeared to have suffered the injury when he went for a power spot that saw him try to carry both Jay and Jimmy on his shoulders. However, his leg legit gave out and he crumbled to the mat, rolling out of the ring where he was forced out of the rest of the match. And a major slip happened in the women's match. Now if you're wondering why the screen went black not once but twice during the Flair vs Rousey match, don't blame it on Peacock, as Flair suffered a slip which led to the WWE censors cutting the feed for a few seconds. But it didn't happen once, it happened twice, and WWE didn't manage to cut out the feed just in time for the first one. But what did you guys think of WrestleMania Night 1? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time for Night 2 of WrestleMania. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.